Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Total Hockey Now here on the Total Hockey Now YouTube channel. If you can't tell, my cat's joining us right now too. Apparently, I feel way better than I sound. I'll be fine. Over there is that fuzzy Chris 91 at Ant Rivera 86 is on assignment this week. He says he's not at the dentist, but that doesn't mean it's not at an oral surgeon or something like that. So maybe he's playing with words there. Chris, how we doing?
I mean, I guess I'm the only one not sick or at a dentist. So that's good
You're
news.
carrying the D pairing today, that's for sure.
Damn. Am I Cody Cece or am I Brian Dumoulin? Which one am I?
I guess
CC. I can't be Cody Cece because Lane Hudson just blew by him like it didn't even matter. But listen, this is the matchup that we got. We're gonna try to be like the Buffalo Sabres tonight in Colorado. We're just gonna try to not mess this up.
Well, I have an interesting take on that game that you'll have to find out later. We'll have NHL picks coming up at the bottom of the hour here, and then we'll play a little game called Pass and Shoot. Before that, I present two futures. You have to pick one to pass one and one to shoot for. So, well, would you rather, basically. So we'll do that later. But first, we should let's get to the headlines quick before we get to that. And first and foremost, the NHL media world lost an icon of the industry, or a titan of the industry, I should say, Larry Brooks. For a guy like me growing up in New York, wasn't a ton of hockey coverage outside of if you got the sporting news or the hockey news. But Larry Brooks was writing about the NHL every Sunday, going all the way back to the early 90s. He was the guy that was tapped in for us. So, and listen, I know he bristled with certain players and coaches, John Tortorella, Dan Boyle. Some people did not love Larry Brooks, his approach sometimes. But the bottom line was the guy was tapped in. His reporting was always accurate. He, a lot of NHL coverage for a long time in the New York area. And, rest in peace to his family and all the, people that relied on him for, Rangers and NHL coverage for, the last few decades.
Great. Like, hockey world gets smaller today, unfortunately. But yes, the banter between him and John Tortorella. I mean, you can't not think of Brooksy, as he called him. And then, like you said, the one with Dan. But he was not afraid to ask the questions, and he was not afraid to, hold, I guess, players and coaches accountable. But, most people in the media would say that he was still, he was good at what he did. He was good at getting a story. He was good at making it entertaining for people as well. But he wasn't mean. He was just willing to do what sometimes people don't want to do, which is press the question. So it is a sad day for the hockey world, especially for the Rangers fans. Everybody who read his piece.
I'll be interesting to hear what John Tortorella has to say, because he'll be on The Point today with Steve Levy, ESPN's hockey lead-in show. So I'm sure it'll be interesting to see what John Tortorella has to say. Marek checking in. Hey guys, State of Survival Camp Leap fans want to blow it all up, and a lot of news happening today. And yeah, a fair amount of news happening today. Some of it we'll talk about more later because a couple of these teams are in action tonight. But Austin Matthews out at least a week with a lower body injury. Not what Toronto wanted to deal with right now, because they've already been struggling lately, and now they're without one of their top players. See if that creates any sort of leans or plays for tonight's game against the Kings in Toronto. Kings looked good the other night against Montreal. Shane Pinto signs a 4-year, $7.5 million extension. Ottawa's in action tonight against Boston. I like that. I know he came out strong, cooled off a little bit, but if you're Ottawa and you got guys willing to stick around for the next 3 or 4 years, sure, we'll sign you. $7.5 million with the way the cap's going. That's reasonable.
It's a fair deal. The money is, the money's good, yes, but the term is also good there as well. A shorter term deal, maybe it plays out in his favor. Well, at this point, it's kind of like the player a little bit betting on himself, because if he plays well and the way the cap is exploding, then he can go out and get another good deal. And, say what you want about it, but maybe he'll be able to top $10 million, because that's what players that will be worth, second line centerman kind of thing. That's where they'll be going. So again, for the Ottawa Senators, it's another piece that they lock up. The core group now is locked up for a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if they can, I don't know, turn this into something, or they're heading for another long rebuild once all those players age and move on.
I mean, listen, sometimes we talk about how teams don't try to keep guys around and to make an effort. Listen, like Stutzla, Cousins, Pinto. I know Brady Kachuk's been hurt. Batherson, Fabian Zetterlund. Like, maybe these aren't the huge names that like make a big difference, but they're trying to do what they can because they are Ottawa. So yeah.
Listen, these guys are coming out, and they want to be there. Half the battle is trying to get the guy to say, yes, I want to be here. Money will always be a factor, right? Because they are NHL players. But if players want to be somewhere and you're willing to give them some money to do it, and you can iron out the details, listen, do it.
One last piece of news before we get to pass and shoot here. Penguins Predators Global Series kicks off tomorrow from Stockholm, Sweden. It's cool that the NHL does this every year. I'm not going to poo-poo it, but it's kind of just faded into like just part of the schedule now, where it's like, oh, for me on the West Coast, I'll have day hockey on tomorrow, and early in the morning on Saturday. So like that's what it is. And like, listen, it's a decent matchup. I know the Predators have been playing well with the Penguins. So still waiting to figure out if they're for real or not. But so far they've been keeping up pace.
No, good. Listen, the same thing you said is how I feel, right? It's an afternoon game, so that means I get to watch hockey at 2:00 in the afternoon, which I am a big fan of. When the NHL was in there, like coming back from COVID, you had hockey like all day basically. That was a difficult time for a lot of people. That was a good time to be a hockey watching fan because you could watch hockey all day, all day, every day, basically. Fantastic time to be alive. But yes, it is good as well for wanting to. I don't know if it's growing the game, but it is still creating a market over in Europe as well. There are lots of people who care about hockey there. There are lots of people who follow the NHL. I think they should have more games there, but that is probably a logistic thing, getting the NHLPA to sign off on it, all the money and whatnot stuff, sure. But it is good for the game. Listen, if the Montreal Canadiens went over to Europe, I'd find my way to Europe somehow. I'll sleep on somebody's couch. I don't care what country it is. I'll figure it out when I get there. But it is good as well that they're bringing the Penguins and they're having a good year as well. Because last thing you want to do is send two teams out that are absolutely miserable. And then you're like, hey, thanks for the product. It's terrible. But
you mean like the NFL does with a bunch of their games every year?
Basically sending the worst of the worst, just absolute terrible gameplay. You're like, hey, you'll pay all this money, but still at least send people who are worth it. But it's always a good idea to send Sidney Crosby to these things because people know the name and people want him to be there. So again, it is afternoon hockey. 9 a.m. hockey on a Saturday, though, is like I'll sign up for it.
Yeah, that's the beneficial thing of it is, you get a little bit of day hockey. And like, I don't like when teams open their season over there because to me that kills the buzz as a fan. But like this is the right time to do it. About a month into the season now, Penguins and Predators will get a little bit of an extended break before and after this, and then they'll be fine. I did consider there was one year when the Rangers were in Prague that my cousin and I were really kicking around the idea. It didn't work out, but like that's the thing. Like for somebody like me that's been close to probably 200 Ranger games in my life by now, like that's the one appeal that's like, okay, like if you're a fan of that team, it's like, all right, cool. Like that's something different. That's something we haven't done yet, So that'll be nice that will be nice for the next couple of days there. And we'll see if the Penguins can come back with a couple at least 2 points, if not maybe 4. And yes, checking in the chat wants to know where's Milo, and Marek thought that was my dog. That's actually one of my cats. Like still like right here. He's just out of shot. That's Phoenix. I would guess he's a Florida Panther fan because he kind of resembles the logo. Nonetheless, well, I don't see Milo's bed. What happened?
Milo is his bed is he has moved it from that corner. He doesn't want it's cold. Listen, it's cold in Canada. It's cold. So he is hiding under whatever blanket he can find. I turned on the heat downstairs a little bit for him. He does not like the cold at all. Like I'll put on a sweater, sweatpants. I'll like bundle up a little bit. I enjoy it to be cool. I run hot naturally. He does not enjoy it one bit. He was shivering downstairs. I was like, all right, fine. I'll turn the heat on. Stop it. So he is hiding somewhere. He's gone. He's like, I don't want to be anywhere here.
You would think animals with fur coats would be as big a wusses, with being cold, but my dog is like that too. He's a big 75-pound baby. Nonetheless, before we get to our picks for tonight, coming up in about 15, 20 minutes here, play a little game called Pass and Shoot. I've got 6 questions here. I've looked at a couple of random division futures, conference futures, and yes, no, make, miss playoff kind of scenarios. Got to pass on one and pick the other. First up, we're going to put the Montreal Canadiens, Chris's Habs here on the line. To win their division, would you rather are you going to pass on the Ducks plus 600, shoot on the Canadiens plus 500, or vice versa?
I said this to you earlier. This was tough when you had emailed me the list. I looked at them and I was like, wow, I actually have to like sit down and look at this, right? Like sometimes when we used to do sweater weather, I was like, one of these is terrible, so that's easy. This is tough. The Anaheim Ducks are an absolute wagon of a team.
Yeah, they are.
Like, yes, they got smacked a little bit out there in Colorado, but to be fair, everybody gets smacked by Colorado. But I did not give them a ton of credit at the beginning of the year. I did not expect this, but they are cooking, and they are cooking with gas. And listen, I don't want to bring up old wounds here, but Jacob Trouba looks fantastic, and Chris Kreider is filling the back of the net while the Rangers struggle to just exist on home ice. So, like, what the Ducks are doing and the way that they're coached is great. The Montreal Canadiens are off to a fantastic start. Yes, it's not always pretty. I get it. Here's what I will say. I am going, and you can call me whatever you want. I am going to shoot on the Montreal Canadiens to win their division, and this is very simple. The Atlantic Division is not very good. Let's just keep it a stack. It's tight, but it's not great, right? Like Boston today is second, the Boston Bruins, and we don't know what they are. The Toronto Maple Leafs are an absolute mess. I could cook them for hours, but I am not crying for that organization. I told you over the summer, their blue line is horrendous, and they have proven me correct. There's a bunch of plugs on the blue line, and now that Anthony Stolarz is basic, well, he's getting lit up like a Christmas tree. So I'm going to shoot the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to pass on the Ducks, man, because you're in a conference still with Vegas. You're in a conference still division with, the Kings are still good. Are you going to bet against the Oilers? Because I certainly don't want to do that. Like that, there's still too many wild cards there, and I want to see the Ducks do it. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Like, and I believe the Ducks are a playoff team, because of coaching with Joel Quenneville and because everybody's doing their jobs and everybody's doing well. I agree. It's more of an indication of the division versus the team that's necessarily better. Whereas Florida's not going to have Kachuk back for another month, probably minimum. They got their podcast going today. Him and Brady, they dropped that, I think, yesterday or next week, whatever it is going to be, is the first episode. Toronto's having issues. Boston's not going to keep this up. So, yeah, because the division is more open, that's why I'm taking Montreal. I'm going to shoot on them and pass on the Ducks. Next up, to win their division, 2 teams that were atop the league last year. Winnipeg Jets plus 900 to win the Central. Capitals 11-1 to win the Metropolitan. Again, we're going to look at this in the frame of which division is it. When you look at the Central, to me, or at least at this point, it looks like it's Colorado or maybe Dallas they'll have a shot at it, and that's really it. Not to say Winnipeg won't be a playoff team, not to say they can't put together a streak, or Hellebuck just decides, I'm just going to let one goal in for like 5 games in a row, and that's it. The Capital, to me, like, as much as I think the Hurricanes are the team to beat in the Metro in terms of winning the division and the Devils are close, yeah, the Capitals have been rough lately. I might have to lean Winnipeg here despite the division. I kind of just flip-flopped in the middle of that. But yeah, I think because of the way the Capitals look right now, I might take Winnipeg.
I'm going to shoot for the Capitals here, and it's quite simple. The Capitals are struggling to score goals. I think that is fair. They have to figure it out. They are still one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. They do not give up goals. They are built from the back end out. They are the wish.com version of the early 2000 Devils, basically, where the hockey wasn't maybe that great, but defensively you knew what you were going to get. And like they got to win those close games, right? Those 1-goal games have to go in their favor. The Winnipeg Jets, from an their numbers are not good. If you start digging into it, this team doesn't generate offense 5-on-5. They can't do it. They don't know how. The fall off for this team has been tremendous. they don't shoot the puck enough. They don't finish their chances. And the only reason they're competitive is because Connor Hellebuck is already standing on his head. His goals saved above expected is, as it should be, high. But he's doing all this, and it's like, this is a house of cards to me. It's going to fall apart. And when it does, it's going to hurt. And in the division that they're in, they basically have to get by the Colorado Avalanche. And nobody's doing that. So if I'm going to go for a long shot here, I'll give it to the Capitals because they are the better team defensively. They are. And I don't know how many teams in the Metro are still, legit. Like, yes, it's been tough for the Capitals, but like, I'm not buying the Flyers. I'm not buying the Islanders. We're about to find out if the Penguins are real. If the Rangers just elect to never play at Madison Square Garden, I think they win the division. But I guess they got to play at home. We'll see if the Devils can stay healthy. I mean, the same conversation for the Hurricanes at that point. It's a little bit more up in the air for the Capitals, so that's the route I'll take. I'm going to shoot for the Capitals. We're passing on the Jets.
The one thing I would worry about if for the Avalanche in the Central Division is, are you really going to ride Mackenzie Blackwood, who I know they're easing him back, but he's injury prone, and Scott Wedgwood, who's been playing great for them, and they got a great team in front of them. Sometimes, not to say the goalie doesn't matter, but you could put an average goalie behind certain teams and it's going to be okay. And maybe that's what it is, but that is, as strong as they're playing right now, that's a lot of faith in Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood. We go to the next one here. Now we're talking to win their conference. Devils at plus 700, the Stars at plus 650. What do you got?
It's got it. This one I was thinking about a lot. I feel like it's a toss-up. It's tough for the Devils to win their conference, but at the same time, like, Dallas has to go through their division. I will say this: if Dallas could get through their division, then they win the conference. That's always like that same mentality. I think is still the same because there's no team right now in the Pacific that I think is, above some of those teams in the Central. Correct. Like, as good as the Ducks are, like, that reality sets in because you got to play Colorado or Dallas, and those are very complete hockey teams. So I will shoot on Dallas. That just, to me, it's tougher, but they are built to be able to do that. Their offensive group will get better once Jamie Benn returns, and their defensive group is still pretty fine. They have the best goaltending. So I'm going to trust that over the New Jersey Devils that I don't think is as complete yet. The Devils are electric on home ice. They do not lose unless I bet on them. And once they go on the road, it gets a little bit more complicated. So I'm shooting on the Dallas Stars here.
There's a lot I like about the Devils this year, but and I know this is an easy out, but can you tell me if Jack Hughes is going to be healthy or not? Because that changes my answer too. Because yes, the Devils are going to have maybe not as tough a time in the first two rounds of the playoffs as Dallas is going to have because they're going to have to go through Winnipeg or Colorado. Who knows? Maybe Utah, maybe Minnesota gets going. Nonetheless, they're going to have a tougher time. The Devils will have an easier first round opponent probably. Maybe unless they have to play the Capitals, which, that could be tough. I think whoever is left standing in the Atlantic, because, it's not great right now. We just talked about that. But Florida will, they're not going to have Barkov, but they will assume have Matthew Tkachuk back, and that is a big factor there. And the Panthers also strike me as a team that remind me of the Warriors of about 10 years ago, where they realized, like, okay, we could finish third, fourth in the West and still be okay. I kind of think maybe Florida is adapting that mentality where they just know they just got to be in the top three. And it's been, they've been inconsistent. They've alternated losses and wins over the last 10. Talk about them a little bit later there as they got the game against the aforementioned Capitals. But yeah, I lean towards Dallas. But again, I think just because I want to know if I'm going to have a healthy Markstrom and a healthy Hughes. There's a little bit more of a health question mark there with the Devils versus the Stars. Next one to win their conference here. And I thought this one would maybe be a little bit of a rabble rouser here. The Leafs at 14-1 or the Utah Mammoth at 16-1.
Listen, we're going to pass on the Leafs because they may not even make the playoffs. What are you talking about? They are right now projected to not make the playoffs. They are a head coach's worst nightmare. They score a ton of goals, but they give up the most, and that is not a recipe to win. They like this team again. This team is bad, and I had all kinds of, people. That's what we'll use the term here, trying to convince me that their blue line was good. Their blue line is decent. It's great. It's an improvement, and I'm like, man, imagine being that delusional. It's not. Their blue line is horrendous. It is not good. It is full of scrubs, and those scrubs are not playing well. And I think we're starting to figure out that the loss of Mitch Marner is real. You listen, you can trade, $1 for 4 quarters, but sometimes the dollar is still worth more. And that's what they've gone. Somebody tried to, Chelly's going to get 70 points. And I'm like, okay, like that's not how this works. This team is not good. Now you have, Austin Matthews does not look good. Like, I don't know if what's going on there, what he's missing. Now he's hurt. It's just, I don't know what the Leafs are going to do. The Utah Mavericks, at least they're fun. They're fun. They're a young team. But if I have to pick one, it's not the Leafs. Neither one happened, but there's a higher probability that Utah wins their conference.
I'm still going to stick with Toronto here. I think it's still early in the season. I recognize the goaltending has not been great as somebody that's got multiple shares of Anthony Stolars in fantasy hockey leagues. I think they'll figure it out. Whereas I think Utah, while they're very much a playoff team, I don't think, you could say experience matters. There's really none of that on the play, like with the exception of Sergachev on that roster that really has deep playoff experience. Nick Schmaltz from earlier in his career, that's about it. If both teams get there, let's talk about that first. But assuming both get there, because I know it doesn't look good for Toronto, but it's still early. I would trust Toronto to go deeper than Utah, and there's not many teams I would say that about. Comparing Toronto to Team X, Team Y. But if to win their conference, that means they're both in the playoffs. I would trust Toronto to go deeper at that point than Utah. I know. I know. I said
the Leafs don't make it out. The Leafs don't make it out of the first round. I don't understand where this deepness is going. It's just, they're so bad. They're terrible. Listen, the Leafs, they don't play well.
So, I agree. There's been a lot of, but I feel like that happens early in the season, guys. Because they've been off for a while, and then get into part of the season where they just start playing through stuff. So. Yeah, it's been annoying with the injuries, but we'll run through the lineups later. We got 2 more of these pass and shoots to go before we get to tonight's game preview. To make or miss the playoffs here, the Ottawa Senators to make the playoffs at +110, or the Minnesota Wild to miss at +130.
I hate to do this in the Minnesota Wild, man, but that's not a playoff team today. It's not. They're just not. They're not. They're not a playoff team. I get it's not great for the Sens either, but the Atlantic Division is a little bit more open, and the same cannot be said for the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota should be better. They should be. They have time, but I just feel like they're going to fall too far behind in their division. Where are they sitting now? They're what? They're behind the Blackhawks, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? They got
Blackhawks look good. I know they blew it the other night, but they look good.
Yeah, but we didn't have the Blackhawks being decent. So, those games at the beginning of the year that you win matter more because the grind at the end is going to be impossible. And at the end of the year, that last month of the season, everybody's going to overtime because you don't want to give up. You don't want to lose that point. You'll take one and then say, okay, let's test our luck here at overtime or shootout where it's a 50-50 coin flip, right? So, and the Wild, for everything that we talk about their offense, they have, they've played one more game than the Blackhawks. They've scored 5 goals less. They're a -8 differential. So if we just exclude the Blues and the Predators from existence completely, that's the worst in the division. There's not enough here. They're not scoring enough goals, and they're not getting enough support either on the blue line or in goal. They need more, and I don't know where they're going to get it from. So I will shoot on the Sens to make the playoffs just because it is possible, and the division is a little bit more open. And we'll see if Linus Ullmark can figure it out. I need him to figure it out for fantasy-related purposes, but if he could also figure it out for the Ottawa Senators, that'd be great too. It's a win-win. Everybody's okay.
Hidden in plain sight, checking in. Toronto Maple Leafs, such an overrated franchise, but I guess you could say that about a lot of other franchises, my Rangers included. We've got one Stanley Cup since 19. For me on this game, or in this matchup, I should say, make or miss. I've gone back. The next one I think is a little tougher than this one, the last one we're going to do. But because the division's tougher, because, we talked about Utah being a team that maybe, they are a team that's going to add at the deadline. So if they're hanging around, Minnesota has yet to figure it out. Maybe Gustafsson isn't as good as we thought. I would take the Wild to miss over the Senators to make, because when you look at the Atlantic, all right, Montreal, we're pretty much writing them in. Florida, we're going to write them in. I know they're struggling up and down, but they're not going to miss the playoffs, short of some really major injuries. Those other two spots, are we ready to take Tampa out of the playoffs yet? Are we ready to take Toronto out of the playoffs yet? I know you might be.
Tampa has a whole mess of injuries, though. That's an AHL roster that got absolutely dunked on yesterday by the Rangers.
Yes, and they still let in a few, but nonetheless, you get high-scoring games like that. That's going to happen. Looking at the rest of, Buffalo's not a playoff team this year. Boston, let's see how long they keep this going. I think that Minnesota, because they're in a tougher division, and you're going to probably have teams out of the Pacific this year that are going to contend for those wild card spots, where in past years it was just like, okay, the top three are in and everybody else can go scratch. That's not going to be the case with the Pacific anymore. So that's why I'll take the Minnesota to miss over, shoot on them and pass on the Sens. Last but not least, the Pittsburgh Penguins plus 260 to make the playoffs, or the Kings to miss the playoffs at plus 260. What do you got?
Another tough one.
Yeah.
These ones were hard. You did a very good job. It was a lot of brain power for a Thursday. I'm gonna like a slight lean on the shoot for the Penguins.
Yes.
It's not that I think that the LA Kings are gonna miss. It's just the Penguins look determined, and they're getting a lot of help from, I wouldn't say like they brought in Brazo. Yes, I know he was hurt and stuff like that, but like the rest of their lineup is also contributing. Like, it's fantastic to see Evgeny Malkin do his thing. Erik Karlsson looks decent. Crosby, as always, is
no Raquel right now, and they're still playing okay. And he's a big spot player for them.
You're right. I still think they're going to make it. And a lot of this comes down to health. I understand that, because Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang are due for an injury at some point. It's just the way it happens. They're due for like a bump and a bruise, but maybe they just miss like a couple of games. Maybe they miss like a total of, I don't know, 7 combined, both of them, instead of missing like 30. But again, it's just slight there. I could see the Kings missing out. I could envision it, just because of the Ducks being involved in that run, right? And because of how competitive the Central is. Like you said, it's no longer a case of like the Central
Pacific. It's
right.
4-4 probably.
Right, but I could see some of those teams in the Central making it a run, or at least giving LA the trouble. To me, Vegas is there, and then Anaheim has proven that they should be in the conversation, and
Edmonton always finds a way, even with their goaltending issues. They still find it.
They've been there twice. I can't imagine. Once Connor McDavid gets really angry, he was barking in practice earlier this week at Evan Bouchard about something on the power play. And that night I had a lot of exposure daily to Connor McDavid, because a pissed off Connor McDavid is going to do something about it. And indeed he did. He scored 2 goals, and I was like, that sounds about right. So if Connor McDavid has to drag his team to the playoffs, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. So I'm going to pass on LA. I'm going to shoot on the Penguins.
So here's the thing: when you look at the Metropolitan Division, the Devils and the Hurricanes, lock them in 1-2, whatever you want to put them in. We're not ready to write off the Capitals yet because they're a good team with a good defense, a good defensive team, good goaltending. Logan Thompson, they probably get that third spot, but like we said, we're not buying Philly over the course of a season. We're not ready to buy the Islanders over the course of the season. Columbus, not right now. Rangers can't win at home. To say they can't score at home. Like we said, Pittsburgh has the look of a team that's not just going to fade slowly in January and February, and then we're talking in March about, oh, remember when the Penguins were playing good? No, I think they're here to stay. So I'm going to shoot on them to make the playoffs, but I can make a strong argument for the Kings to miss the playoffs, but just because of everything you said. But I think it's more likely that the Kings end up in. So I think the Penguins stay. I'm going to shoot on that as well.
I also think 5 teams can come out of the Metro. Like I truly do believe it. I truly believe 5 teams can come out of the Metro.
I mean, if the Rangers have finally righted the ship, it's amazing what happens when Vinny Trocheck comes back into the lineup and all of a sudden the team just starts scoring. So if that is the case and he's healthy the rest of the year, the Rangers could play their way into that too. That's the beauty. It was still so early in the season that the only teams that I would say 100%, you put a gun to my head, who's not making the playoffs today: Buffalo, Nashville, Calgary, and I might put Vancouver on that list.
St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah, they've played their way down that way. I think last year was maybe a bit of a fluke, but
we're done with St. Louis.
I know. They're my adopted team. I can't totally give up on them yet, but. It's about 5:35 Eastern, 2:35 Pacific, so it's time to get through the 10-game slate tonight. Here we go. All right, we got a 10-game slate tonight. No Tony Rivers today, so we'll try and pick up the slack on the totals. 4-2 week for me last week. Chris went 2-3. Ant went 2-3. So we're looking to get back to stay at above 500 here if we can. And first on the docket tonight, listen, this is not going to be, you're not going to get a bunch of deep analysis from me on this one. I'll explain why in a minute. It's the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Anaheim Ducks at home. Looking at the goalie matchup, John Gibson confirmed. Nobody confirmed for Anaheim yet if it's going to be Mrazek or Dostal. Maybe it's Mrazek. He's played, the former Red Wing there. Looking to grab teams on the money line or on a total here. Let's see here. The Red Wings are -142. The Ducks currently at +120, over 6.5, -118, under -102. This is going to be a purely narrative pick for me here. I'm going to take the Red Wings to win in 60 because I don't know why they're -142 is a little heavy juiced, but I think Gibson's in a revenge spot here. But again, strictly a narrative play. Red Wings have lost 3 in a row. So, there's no, and, Leo Carlson has an 11-game point streak. Troy Terry has a 9-game streak. There's no logical reason to pick against Anaheim, except that it's a revenge spot. And I like that for Gibson.
Listen, you said it, not me, because there is no logical reason to believe that John Gibson can do anything. It just doesn't make sense. I'm hoping Peter Mrazek gets the start for this one because he's a mess. There's too much offense on the Duck side. They're the second highest scoring team in the NHL. They are just pounding the net. They're pounding it. And John Gibson's not very good. So just for Tony Rivers, I'm going to go with the over in this game.
I think that's a smart play that Detroit does know how to put the puck in the net too. So, maybe if Dostal plays the game, that changes things a little bit. But
maybe. I think the Ducks could put up 5 by themselves, right? And the Red Wings struggle, 5-on-5, but power play is okay. Patty Kane's back. Showtime's there. There's enough skill on the ice to be able to fill the net. But I would feel better if Peter Mrazek got a start. This is a road game too. Give Dostal a night off. Poor guy had to take a beating in Colorado.
Yeah, that's But we're not blaming you for the loss, but you've earned a night off. You take the night off tonight. You know, we could have former goalies going against their former teams head to head tonight. Mrazek
There
going
you
against
go.
Detroit.
They'll pay tribute to each other by getting lit up like a Christmas tree.
Who can let in one less goal? We'll find out. I think Detroit, though. Bruins at Senators, another 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Senators minus 162 favorites. Bruins road dogs at plus 136. Over 6.5 plus 110. Under 6.5 minus 130. Your goaltending matchup tonight features backup versus backup, which we were hoping for in Detroit, if you consider Talbot the starter at least. Levi Merryline going against Eunice Corpusalo. Senators are on a 6-game point streak. Bruins have won 7 in a row. I got the over in this one. These teams met a week ago, and I like to bet the opposite total of what happened in the previous meeting. When two teams meet in a short amount of time, say about a week, this is exactly a week. Both backups, as we said, going tonight. It opened at 5.5. It's been bet up to 6 and 6.5 in a lot of spots. Bruins are averaging 4 goals per game during their 7-game winning streak, and I don't see that slowing down against Levi Merryline. I think Ottawa can get a couple behind Corpusalo. I think the Bruins win. So, maybe a money line play there too, but I like the over the best here.
Sticking with a total here, we are going to go with the over. Everybody is betting the same number. I understand why. Boston has been scoring goals. Their power play is decent. They're operating at 25%. The Ottawa Senators don't know what to do when they're short a man because their penalty kill is operating at 67%. It's not going well. So, yeah, just this one seems like it could be a true barn burner where a lot of goals are going to be scored. I will sign up for that. I want to see some offense.
On the one game that we all had the same thing on last week was Penguins money line. That hit, so maybe that's a good omen that we're both on this. So hopefully that goes green for everybody. Next up on the 7 o'clock slates, Capitals at Panthers, a 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Logan Thompson going against Daniil Tarasov. Tarasov yet to get a win this year, 0-3-1. Capitals are seeking back-to-back wins for the first time since October 21st and 24th. Brad Marchand has a 5-game goal streak, is 2 points away from 1,000 for his career. I'm going to go with the Capitals money line here. And I know last week we talked about them as like a team that maybe put their struggles behind them and then they lost the next 2 games. But they got that 4-1 win from Carolina after that. I think there's a get-right spot. And if you're into trends, the Panthers have alternated losses and wins over the last 10 games. So tonight they're due for a loss, and Tarasov hasn't gotten one yet. I think we'll see some special teams here, which we know that's what the Capitals best. Panthers are still kind of very mid right now. So Capitals money line at even money, I'm all about that.
I'm going to go the other side, actually. I'm going to take the Florida Panthers money line. Florida has alternated a little bit, but they are much better at home. They're 5-1-1 on home ice. They don't score a ton, but we talked about the Capitals not scoring a ton as well. I could see Thompson stealing this one. I get that Tarasov's not like he hasn't been terrible. It's just his team's not providing him enough goal support. But I think this is a tight one. As long as it stays tight and the Panthers have been good at home, I'll bite. I will bite. I'll take the Panthers here. I think, minus 110. It's not terrible. For a team that's 5-1-1 on home, I'll take it.
All right. So for our first directly opposite pick tonight, we'll see who's right and who's wrong there. Kings at Maple Leafs, another 7 o'clock puck drop there. 8-game road point streak for Los Angeles. Corey Perry's got 7 goals in 11 games. Leafs are on a 3-game losing streak, but William Nylander is an 11-game point streak. For me here, I'm going to just listen. The Kings are playing for as good as the Kings were at home last year. This year, that's how they've been on the road. Toronto's without Matthews. They got Hill to be going tonight. It's going to be a struggle, I think, for Toronto here. Nylander's the only good thing going for them. Kings money line still has some value at minus 135. That's where I'm heading. If you want to consider the total, it's 5.5 over minus 130, under plus 110. You think the Leafs get it done at home as home underdogs? They're plus 114, but I just don't think that's happening tonight. Look, like I said, it's Hill to be going for Toronto. It's Hill to be going for Toronto and Kemper going for the Kings. They've got the goaltending matchup there, so that's where I'm heading.
That's a 5.5 total.
Yep.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to take out. I'm gonna have to take out a line of credit here before 7 because the over is like, is that?
Minus 130. See if I can
I
find a
don't. I
better
don't care
number.
what it is. It could be minus 210. I would still hit it. Listen, Stolars is not in the lineup. Matthews is not in the lineup. This is a team. The Toronto Maple Leafs give up the most goals, the most. So I get the Kings struggle. Kings are very good on the road, though. Remember when they couldn't win on the road last year? Now they love being away from
They
that
road. They
downtown.
love them. They love
They
it.
do.
Love
They
hotels.
love getting away from crypto.com arena now. They want to get out of the state of California. They bully the Montreal Canadiens a little bit. The big body team, they kind of go in there, they kind of do what they want to do. The Leafs are no bigger, and their blue line is worse. So I would probably, you know what I would do? I would parlay this. Just why not? Because the Kings are likely to win, and I would tie it with the I would tie it straight with the over 5.5. That is wild.
So 5.5 is minus 130. At a few books, it's gone up to 6 at minus 105.
Makes sense. Even at 6, that's a gift, man. This game could be 4-3 midway through the second.
You're gonna go for get a little bit of plus money. You're gonna go 6.
I would, if it was all the way you want it. You can take 6.5 if you want. You can take whatever number you're comfortable with.
105, so not plus money, but close.
That's close
so yeah,
enough.
I'll give you a parlay over 6 with that, and then you said the Kings money line.
If you did the money line here, if you did the LA Kings money line, and hold on, I gotta log in. So if you did the LA Kings money line, 365 has them at minus 135. If you do the total, let's say you do. Well, they have 5.5. Let's do 6.5. Just absolute degenerates tonight. If you do a same game parlay of the Kings money line and the over 6.5, bet 365 has that at plus 280.
There you go. So if you like the way if you like Chris's leans and picks for that game parlay, or make them almost plus 300. I'm just distracted because they're opening packs of cards on the NHL Network show right now. It's like rip and riff, that's where we do it as well. But I want to see if they get any hits. I want to see if they rigged it or not. Nonetheless, but yeah, you can follow Rip and Riff there. We have new episodes on Mondays, heavy on the football and hockey the next few months because that's what we love. That's Jared and I's bread and butter. Looks like somebody got a Crosby canvas or something. Anyway, back to actual relevant hockey for tonight. This is a stay away spot for me. Stars at Canadiens. Looking at the goaltending matchup for tonight, we are looking at Casey DeSmith versus Jakob Dobes. If you want to take the Stars on the money line, minus 102, Canadiens minus 118. Over 5.5, minus 122. Under is plus 102. Heiskanen's got a 4-game multi-assist streak. Stars are on a 3-game winning streak. Habs are winless in 3 of the last 4. This is probably going to be one of the games of the night to watch and enjoy. I've got no lean either way here. This is one of the few stay-away games for me on this 10-game slate. What about you?
Yeah, there's not enough offense from Dallas. They don't score enough goals. They're scoring less than 3 goals a game. They're taking less than 27 shots. They're good defensively. The one thing that could hurt here, like Dallas's power play is just clicking. When they get a man advantage, they know exactly what to do with it. The Montreal Canadiens they're good. They got better. Their power play is clicking as well. Dobes is in net, so I feel good. I understand that last game he did not win, but he's still undefeated in regulation. But I can't. Like the Montreal Canadiens don't shoot the puck enough. They have less than 25 shots a game. There's so much talent on that team, but they don't possess the puck enough 5-on-5. The 5-on-5 numbers are not there yet. The power play's clicking. It's saving them. I feel like this will be a tight game. I'm just not willing to bet the under, so I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit back and watch.
Now, this is one you enjoy. Like I said, no real lean either way here for me. I think it'll be a good matchup and it'll be a fun one. So now the NHL, those cheeky bastards, only one staggered start tonight because it's the ESPN plus Hulu game here in the States. Oilers at Blue Jackets, 7:30 Eastern. We're beyond the 7 o'clock puck drops now. Looking at the goaltending matchup for tonight, Calvin Pickard going against Jet Greaves. If you're looking to make a money line play, Edmonton plus 105, Columbus home favorites at minus 125. Over 6.5, minus 115, under minus 105. Connor McDavid, 6-game point streak. Kirill Marchenko on a 9-game point streak. This is a stay away from me as well because my gut says over, but that would go against my opposite total theory that I discussed the Bruins Senators game because they just played last week and it was a 9 total goals. So even though going by that should be under, something's telling me over. So if I got stuff, I'm not touching it. So maybe Oilers on the money line plus 105. Played decent enough in Philly the other night, close game. Maybe that's the way to go here is to get them at plus money.
I'm gonna go with the over here. I don't believe in your voodoo yet. It's just like they met not too long ago, and yes, it was 9 goals. Here's the thing though, Calvin Pickard's pretty bad at stopping the puck. Jack Reeves is not terrible, but Columbus gives up way too many shots on goal. Like they're allowing 31 and a half. They're shooting 32, but they're allowing 31. This is a fun type of team, which is the exact opposite of what coaches want. They don't want fun. They want structure. There's not a lot of structure in Columbus. This is the 3rd game in 4 nights for Edmonton. So some of that juice is going to be lacking here for this team. And I know it was a low scoring affair yesterday. Things happen, but I do believe that this one could be a goal filled event. So I'm going to go with the over.
All right, so
makes sense.
So that was my initial lean. Maybe that's the way to go, but again, I'm backing off. But yeah, should be entertaining game nonetheless. Oilers, Blue Jackets. Like you said, Jet Greaves is slight edge in goaltending there, but long-term dynasty guy to have. We're now into the 9:00 Eastern window. We got 4 games to go. Will my vocal cords make it? We'll find out. The Sharks have won 4 in a row. Will Smith is on a 5-game point streak. Macklin Celebrini, 4-game point streak. Calgary Flames have won 6 in a row against the Sharks, longest active win streak in the NHL against one opponent. It's going to be Askarov versus Wolf. Get on the money line here, plus 136 for the Sharks, minus 162 for the Flames. That's crazy that they're that favorite. Over 5.5, minus 135. Unders plus 114. I got the under 6 at minus 110 earlier today. I think one of the most impressive things about the Sharks' strong players of late is their ability to win close games. 5 of their last 7 victories have had a margin of victory of 2 goals or less. They hung with Minnesota all night last game, and it paid off at the end. The Flames continue to look like one of the league's worst teams, and they've had only 2 goals in their last 3 games. I do think, Dustin Wolf, Gilroy native, which is right down the road from San Jose, garlic capital of the world, by the way. It actually smells like garlic as you drive through Gilroy. I think him playing the Sharks, it gets him going a little bit. I think he's going to do his job tonight. So I think you'll get a low-scoring game here. Askarov also very strong lately. 4 wins in his last 4, 963 save percentage. He's allowed 2 or fewer goals during that stretch. So everything points to the under here. That's where I'm going. If you wanted to even go down to 5.5 at plus money, I'd be okay with that too.
In what world are the Flames that heavy of a favorite?
And I know the Sharks aren't good, but the Sharks have been, the last 2 weeks, they've been one of the better teams in the league.
The Sharks are on a 4-game win streak. They went into Seattle, slapped Seattle around, which Seattle is decent defensively. They beat Winnipeg and Florida on home ice. I understand this, Winnipeg's underlying numbers are not great. Florida on the road is not great, but still, those were close games, and they won them both. They go into Minnesota, same thing. They played well. Minnesota wasn't, they were just sticking around there. The Sharks were the better team. The Flames are scoring 2.06 goals a game on 29 average shots. They have scored 2 goals in the last 3 games. They got blanked against Chicago. They got blanked against Minnesota. And they only scored 2 against St. Louis. And I'm pretty sure St. Louis was up 3-0 in that game. I have no idea who set this odd. But I want all of San Jose in this one. The Flames have 2 wins at home. The Sharks are actually 4-3 on the road. I don't understand how we got here. What am I missing?
Askarov got off to a rough start this year, but if his last 4 games isn't evidence enough that he's kind of put that behind him, what else do you want?
Even if he's off to a rough start, who's scoring for Florida? Who's scoring for Calgary? Who? At this rate, I could score. Actually, I probably couldn't. I can't make the team worse. Dustin Wolf's also up to 10 L's on the year. It has been difficult. Being a listen, Calgary, strap in, man. You're about to be a lottery team. Sit back, cry, and hope you get the first overall pick so you can build your team into what it could be. But yeah, just give me all of the Sharks.
Chris taking the Sharks on the money line there. What was the best value for that? I saw plus 136. There might be a better number out there, but you're down for that one. Let's see. And on a related note, I haven't decided if I'm going to get a Yaroslav Askarov or Will Smith jersey next week. I think I'm too old to buy jerseys. I think plus the investment and the cost, way players get traded, but both of them, I'm having a tough time deciding who's my favorite. Eklund's my third.
No Sam Dickinson jersey?
Not yet. Eklund would be third on that list.
Okay.
Now, 3 games to go. Here's where you're going to say I'm crazy. Buffalo Sabres are at the Colorado Avalanche tonight. The Avalanche minus 380 money line favorites. Buffalo plus 300. Total is 6.5 over minus 115. Under minus 105. Looking at the recent trends here, Sabres are 0-4-2 on the road this season. The only team in the NHL to not get it done on the road. Nate McKinnon's on a 10-game point streak and 3+ points in his last 3 games. But Tage Thompson does average 1.25 points per game against the Avalanche in his career. I like the over here, 6.5. I think Colorado's going to score goals. It's Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen going in net tonight for Sabres. Looking at the it's Mackenzie Blackwood going against the going in net for Colorado. He's, listen, he's good, but he's had a rough start to the year. 3.42 goals against, 875 save percentage. Still some rust there. So I like the over. This is where you're going to think I'm crazy. I would take the Sabres plus 1.5 at plus 130. They've been playing teams tough this year. I know they haven't gotten it done on the road, but they met earlier this year in Buffalo, and it was a 3-1 game, and Buffalo figured out something to be able to hang with them all game long. Colorado is by far a better team, but when there's a chance to get a decent plus money play with a team getting 1.5, maybe they get it up for Colorado tonight. This is like one of the best teams they're going to face all year, so maybe they get it up for them. I'm not saying they win, but can they keep it within 2? Or keep it within 1? Yes. I know. Lay it on me. I know.
Listen, you said that one of those cities, had the smell of garlic. I don't think that's what the smell was. I think it was something else. That is preposterous. The Sabres are not keeping this game close. They have no idea. They got swatted yesterday in Utah. The Carolina Hurricanes made them look bad. They lost 3-0 to St. Louis. 3-0.
I know.
St. Louis.
Colorado in their last 4 games is a combined score of 21-8. Okay. Everything is pointing towards that.
You understand? So, I get it. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes chalk is chalk. It's just, it is what it is. I'm not betting on anything here because I could see the Avalanche scoring 7 on their own. I can do that. I'm worried the Avalanche don't get up for this one. I'm worried they go soft. And they look at the Sabres and they go, this team doesn't really matter and they're not going to do anything. Then they don't get to where they need to go. So I can't do any, because even the puck line for the Avalanche is it's not interesting because everybody expects them to slap
minus 2.5 is plus 110. So if you think they're going to win by 3,
they could, but maybe they lay off the gas a little bit and maybe it finishes 4-2 or something. So I don't know. I don't know how I want to treat this. I will say this. If you want something to have fun with this, I would take a player prop here. I would take McKinnon 3 points because the homie's just averaging it anyways. He is doing whatever he wants on the ice. He is elite on home ice. He leads the NHL in points. And he's got a fantastic matchup here against a Sabres team that is, they're one deviation away from being in the AHL. Which their AHL team is not doing well either because Devin Levi got pulled from his start and he's having a terrible run. So basically, I don't even know if you relegate the Sabres. You should probably move them to Quebec City.
Probably. But not going to happen. But again, this is probably one of those things where at about 10 o'clock Eastern tonight, people are going to be laughing that I made those picks. Maybe not. We'll see. We got a couple more games to go here. Now we're in the 10 o'clock Eastern window. Jets at Kraken. The Hellebuck versus Philip Grubauer tonight. Looking on the money line here. Excuse me, that was the 60-minute one. Looking on the Winnipeg's 10-3 all time against Seattle. The Kraken have allowed a power play goal in 4 straight. I'm staying away from this here. What do you got?
Nothing I could care less than this game tonight. It's just it reeks of under. It reeks of not fun. The Kraken can't score, period. The Jets, like we said earlier, their underlying numbers are not great, but I mean they do employ Connor Hellebuck, who is one of the better goalies in the NHL. So, like, who knows?
Kraken money line.
If this finishes 2-0, I'd be like, that makes sense.
Total 5.5, over -120, under +100. So if you think it's gonna be that boring, that's you get it at that. Jets are -142 on the money line. Kraken +120. Like I said, this is a stay away spot here. Now, last game we're gonna get to: Islanders at Golden Knights at 10 o'clock Eastern tonight. It's gonna be Ilya Sorokin versus Akira Schmid. Ilya Sorokin's got a 1.99 goals against, a 939 save percentage, and 6 starts against Vegas. Vegas is winless in their last 8, 0-6-2. After starting 5-0-2, they've lost their last 3. I'm on the Islanders money line tonight. Sorokin plays well against the Golden Knights, and if you factor in that his last 3 starts, he's 2-0-1 with 947 save percentage and a 161 goals against. I'm going to give it a ride. I'd also look at the under in this game too. Looking at that for tonight, the Islanders are, Vegas is -185 on the money line, so 2 juice there if you're looking at that. Total 6.5, under -125, over +105. I would look at the under there too.
I just don't care for this game either. I don't like the Golden Knights are starting to flounder a little bit here. Trusting the Islanders is just something that's not good for your health. So I don't want anything to do with this game.
I like state of survival's mentality there. Obviously, Isles win. I will say this: Shea Theodore. We can talk a little fantasy in a second here because we've got a trade question in the chat. But I dropped Shea Theodore in our league. Like I couldn't do it anymore.
He's not on the top unit anymore, and he doesn't have, Alex Petrangelo's not there. That's his unit. It's his. He just has to be decent. And he's like, no, not today, bud. Can't do it. Sorry. No.
Well, there we go. Well, I got the Islanders for the money line tonight. Let's recap our plays here. For Ducks, Red Wings, I've got the Red Wings in regulation, -105. That's just strictly a narrative. Gibson revenge spot. Chris likes the over 6.5. Bruins at Senators. We're both on the over at 6.5 there. Caps, Panthers. We're both on the money line on opposite sides. I've got the Capitals. He's got the Panthers. You point the right way. There we go. Kings, Maple Leafs. He's going to parlay the over 6 with the Kings money line. I'm just taking the Kings money line. Stars at Canadians, stay away spot for both of us. Oilers at Blue Jackets, stay away from me, but I lean towards Chris's over 6.5. Sabres Avalanche, no play from Chris. I like the over 6.5 and the Sabres plus a puck-and-a-half at +130. Sharks Flames, he's got the money line. I've got the under 6. And then Islanders Golden Knight, no play for Jets Kraken. And like we just discussed, I'm on the Isles money line. He's got no play. So there we go. Ran the board like we do every Thursday here for you on Total Hockey Now. Now we're going to run the board for you next Thursday, Thanksgiving week. We're going to actually shift to Tuesday to look at the Wednesday slate and maybe have a little fun. We could look at the standings, you know, that whole deal with American Thanksgiving and the X amount of teams that make the playoffs. Maybe we'll have a little fun with that prior to that. But trade question in the chat. One of our buds here, Silver Fox, Craig. Boys, I'm done with my goaltending and Matthews. Debating offering Matthews and Saros for Gauthier and Dostal in a keeper league. Thoughts? You're not going to get any slander of Lucas Dostal here. I am, you know, and you see Saros, for as much as we're like, oh, he's a workhorse that like he can carry the Predators and stuff like that. They're not doing enough in front of him. So, yeah, you know, he's going to be the goalie there at least for the next few years with the contract. But you might be giving up a lot with Matthews. So I don't know if I'm really. You know, Dostal's tempting, but giving up Matthews might be a little bit knee-jerk and a little early to do that.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do here to make it work. You know, using Matthews the name to try to see if you can get a piece of Cutter Gauthier. I like if you're gonna do this, right? Like shoot for the moon. Like see if you can use Matthews' name. First of all, you can't do it now because Matthews is hurt. So I don't think anybody's gonna be taking that that risk on until they know he can come back. But like, I'm sure you can go higher here. I'm sure you can get more than Gauthier or Dostal out of it and try to see if you can milk the whole thing. Like, if you're stuck with Matthews, then it's just a question of saying, hey, I got to ride this out. And, it is what it is. Listen, the good news is that the Maple Leafs score goals. That's the number one thing. They score goals. The opportunities are going to be there. The good news as well is they give up a lot of goals, which means they got to play catch up a lot. So game script in the NHL does matter a little bit sometimes. In this case, the Leafs are not going to turn into this defensive team because we've been
That's not
trying
how they're
this.
wired.
We've been trying this for 100 years in Toronto to get them to play well defensively, and they just as a group refuse to do it. So if they want to go out there and, play pond hockey and score, it's unfortunate that Matthews will probably never score 60 again. But like, if you're getting 40 goals, 40 assists out of him at this point, that's what he is a little bit. He's a point per game player who does not have enough of the upside to get him into the first round anymore. That's where we're at.
I think
Saros is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't include Saros, I think you could get both of those guys back for Matthews. But I'm not pulling the trigger on a Matthews trade just yet because, again, real life hockey with the Leafs and like as long as Matthews is still producing like that, like okay, so like maybe next year, depending on how the season goes, he's more of an early second round pick. I mean, that's still high value for a guy like that. So that's why you got to be real careful.
You're in a tough spot here. You're in a tough spot here because if you're trying to unload him now, right? Again, aim higher than Cutter Gauthier. Aim higher. Listen, a bunch of not a bunch of years ago. I think this was like 4 years ago. Cole Caulfield, he was just coming off one of those years. And some dude in my league was just done with Austin Matthews. And I was like, hey, I'll trade you Cole Caulfield for Matthews 1-for-1. And he's like, yes. And I've never ran so far to my computer to get it done. Now, in that was the year that Cole Caulfield separated his shoulder. He got hurt. Matthews as well. So like it was a wash, but I obviously benefited from it because I got Austin Matthews when he would like that 1 year where he started terrible. And you're like, which year? I'm like, go back, you'll find it. But again, you don't want to be caught on that side where you're giving up the talent because Matthews can turn it on at any given point. Once I don't know if his wrist is healed yet. And I think that lower body injury, the way he fell didn't look terrible. I think he's dealing with some stuff and he's not 100%. He's got to get there. And then once he does, then it's just firing the puck at the net, like just howitzer.
I mean, what I would do if you wanted to make that trade more interesting, and I understand like rosters are the way they are and you can't do it like that, I'd shoot for Leo Carlson before Gauthier.
I probably would too as well, unless you don't need a centerman, right? If you're willing to live with the points, Leo Carlson's right there. And again, you can try to use Matthews' name in it, see if the other guy will bite.
Like I'm all aboard the Leo Carlson trade. I said it last year that like Andrei Kopitar is walking off into the sunset this year, and Leo Carlson's going to take the torch. Same kind, except a little bit more of offensive touch than Kopitar had. But you could just lock him in as Anaheim's top center for the next 15 years, and as a productive like you could just tell already by looking at the guy. Upstates, I think Gauthier is the real deal with him. Be a top 50 player for a long time. Plus, I need a left wing, and I already have Carlson. So good for you.
There you go. Okay. Well, there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more there. If you're looking for the correlation with him and you're willing, I will say this. I still think you can aim higher than Cutter Gauthier, but see if you can aim higher on the goaltending side of it, or see if you can scratch in another player that may benefit you. I think you can, if you can hold the extra player, I would do it.
All right. Now, related to that, I'm going to throw up, and obviously I'm partial one way. Dynasty, who would you rather have? Lucas Dostal or Yaroslav Askarov right now?
Dostal.
Okay. So even though both are on the same, I mean, Dostal right now is probably going to pay off a little more dividends, but you don't think over the long haul maybe that balances out a little with Askarov?
I mean, I see Anaheim's blue line being really, really good. I don't know if Sam Dickinson's going to be good yet. So, and in a dynasty league, let's say I'm projecting 3 ye's out, like Mario Ferraro is just going to get older. Dimitri Orlov.
Ferraro's going to be, if the Sharks are not in the playoff mix, which I don't
Right.
think they will be.
Right. But then they got to
Moraro's a
go out and
good-line
get
guy. He's
right. But then
gone.
they got to go out and get more guys. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the Anaheim's defense is here. Like
Yeah,
they're
that's true.
here. The pieces are there, and Dostal has been there. Right. Like we're still waiting for Askarov to, take over the starts. Say what you want about Dostal last year. It wasn't easy, but it's,
He played okay.
he did. And he probably would have played more if it wasn't for having to give John Gibson starts. So I guess in the end, I would still take Dostal today.
I'm a big Lucas Dostos guy, but like we talked about, Askarov is I love watching him, and I feel fortunate that's part of my local. I'm in the Sharks' footprint there now. For more hockey coverage here, as my voice is slowly starting to go away, we're going to talk. We got let's see here. So Ant's not here today, but Subway to Shea podcast, Mets hot stove, all that good stuff. What do we got coming up on Slapshot podcast?
I haven't decided exactly what route I want to go down. There are lots of things I wanted to talk about. We can either build a Team Canada roster because there are some players that are cooking, but it's still early out there. So maybe I save that for a little bit. I could also decide to give the Montreal Canadiens forward group some grades, see how they're doing through the first whatever part of the year we're in here. Not to the quarter part yet. I haven't decided which way I want to go yet. So if you tune in, you'll see what I decided when I wake up tomorrow morning.
Either of those will be fun to watch and listen to there. I'm excited to build some rosters here. Maybe we'll let you have Team Canada on yours, a couple others here on Total Hockey Now in the weeks leading up to the roster reveals as that gets closer to the end of the year. Oh, by the way, that we didn't mention NHL news, but the NHL still concerned about the playing surface over there. So it's going to be awesome when someone like Nate McKinnon loses an edge and ends up costing Colorado a significant, like something like that's going to happen. Like you heard it here first. I hope it's not McKinnon, but something like that's going to happen. Rip and Riff on Mondays, I mentioned earlier with myself and at Mr. Jared Moore there, talking football and hockey and all that good stuff. That's always fun. But hey, thanks for sticking with us and my slowly declining voice here today on Total Hockey Now. We will be back with you next Thursday on the 20th. Same deal. I run the board, have some fun. Hopefully, at Era 86 will be back and have the whole line together again. But at Fuzzy Chris 91, I am at fucking Adam Bernard. Back with you next time on Total Hockey Now here on the Total Hockey Now YouTube.